It's not that because they're deadbeats, it's because they're dead broke. And they're trying to find side hustles so they can put food on the table for their kids they only see on the weekends. But they're also working on the weekends and they don't get to see their kids for a couple hours before they have to work third shift at a factory somewhere. It's unreal. It's like unreal what we do to fathers in this country when it comes to child support.
There is no denying that there are many human rights issues that uniquely or disproportionately affect men.
In this country, fathers are not second-class citizens. I know there are a lot of people out there, including judges and probation officers, who still don't get that message, but fathers are not second-class citizens. Sometimes they're actually better parents.
When men are married to women who scream like you, they just want to die sooner.
What's up, guys? It's a Father's Crisis here, doing another YouTube video. Today we're going to talk about child support. I know it's a huge topic, but we're only going to focus on a couple things here today. Mostly how child support is usually calculated and how child support can basically ruin a man's life and really end up ruining your relationship with your kids, or the ability to have a relationship with your kid or children. So we'll just assume that, you know for 100% sure that this is your kid. You're either married or, had a girlfriend, you signed the birth certificate, your rights are established, and this kid is 100% biologically yours. So we'll move on from there. And so when there's a breakup, and especially in a marriage, you're going to, be involving lawyers. You're going to be involving a lot of lawyers into your lives. And we all know that women end up having the upper hand. So there are so many times where, well-off men who are well off financially, or middle class, guys in the middle class, they're spending all this money over 10, 20, 30, 40, and depending on how far along your trial goes, 100 grand for a lawyer, and you most likely are going to have to pay for her lawyer as well. So what women will sometimes do is, some women don't want the full responsibility of taking care of the kid all the time, but they certainly don't want the ability. They certainly don't want not to have the money. So there are so many times where women will try to negotiate that they're fine with doing 50-50 custody, but you have to pay child support. You have to pay me X amount of dollars a month. This will be our agreement, or I'm gonna go and take more custody away from you. And usually guys end up having to take this deal, okay? And the problem with taking a deal like that is men are thinking short term that, well, if I go through with this case, one, I'm going to lose, and that is a distinct possibility. Our chances in court going in front of a judge is not good. It's definitely not a coin flip in there. And the other part is, you're going to be spending a lot of money up front for a lawyer, for court fees, all this stuff. So he's thinking, well, what's $700 a month? That'll save me, at least I'll be guaranteed 50% of time with my kids, and it'll save me $20,000 in lawyer fees. What these guys don't realize is, you start adding up $700 a month for a year, 2 years, 3 years, that 20 grand is a drop in the bucket compared to the child support you're going to be paying. Because it's not just child support you're going to be paying. These kids are going to be going on your health insurance, so you're going to be buying family plans. You're going to be splitting all the school activities, any daycare. They want to join football. You're probably going to be buying all the gear. All this stuff. All this stuff that, we don't really realize up front how much money this is going to be. You're talking about $120,000 in child support if the kids are really young. That you're going to be paying like at $700 a month. And sometimes you're paying this until, they're either done with high school, 18 years old, or sometimes 21 years old, depending on the state. So that's one thing men don't really take into account. And women just are able to take advantage of the way that the family court system is, and is able basically to bend you over. Take this deal or I'm going to go for more custody. And because they know that they're probably going to win. And you're going to be paying that child support anyway. So it's a very spiteful thing for a woman to do. To know that you're going to be splitting kids 50-50 but still make you pay $700 or whatever she decides, the arbitrary amount. Because it's usually going to be lower than the amount you probably would have to pay anyway. That's the only way you would ever even take the deal in the first place. So it might be a little bit lower than if you were to fight and then, God forbid, lose and then only get weekends with the kids or something like that. So, but, every case is different. I would never accept it. I would never be extorted for that. I'd rather lose I'd rather go to court and lose that way than to, bend over and here you go. Here's $700 a month just so you can be happy and I can be financially struggling for the rest of my life. So that's one way child support can be figured out. So other times when she goes to court and puts you on child support after custody is already established and all that, and sometimes even before custody is a lot of times it's before custody is established. Now, when she files for child support, the day she files is when your child support starts to collect. So it might not be for another 6 months before you even get a hearing where you're bringing in your pay stubs, she's bringing in her pay stubs, all this stuff. It might be 6 months before you actually see a judge. So if you're not paying her anything for that 6 months and it's ruled that you owe her whatever, $500 a month, well, from the time that she filed until now, that's all arrears, all payments that you've missed. Now you're behind already. So if it's 6 months at $500, $3,000 that you're behind already. And when you're behind, you're risking getting your license suspended. All licenses suspended. Fishing licenses, hunting licenses, and your driver's licenses is the big one because a lot of men, especially if you're a truck driver, your CDL will be suspended. Your passport will be suspended. They basically take away your ability to find work or be able to go to work. And then if you get really behind, they'll even throw you in jail for 6 months for contempt of court, and they'll throw you in jail. So that is another way that, being behind and not being able to make your child support payments will ruin your life. You will go to jail for 6 months. Your driver's license will be suspended indefinitely until you pay up the arrears. And if you can't get a job because your license is suspended, oh well, they don't care. You're going to go to jail. So the way that child support is even collected calculated in the first place, okay? Child support is going to be decided on two main factors: what you two make, what both mom and dad make, and how much custody each of you have. Okay? So the more custody as a father that you have, the less child support you should be paying. Okay? And the more money you make, the more child support you're going to be paying. So they come up with this thing called potential earning capacity. That's a key here. It's potential earning capacity. Most states, most counties and states will ask for 5 years of tax returns. or proof of 5 years of your wages. And within those 5 years, they're going to pick the highest amount that you ever made and base your child support off of that. So let's say 3 years ago, you had a really good job in the the factory closed down. You were making $25 an hour, $30 an hour. Factory closed down. Now there is nothing in your area that's making anywhere close to that. And now you're working for $15 an hour. Well, your potential, the court's going to look at that and be like, well, 3 years ago, you made $25 an hour. So we're going to base your child support on that. And you can argue all you want. Like, look, I'm only making $15 an hour right now. I've been for the last 2 years. There are no jobs that even pay that with my skill set within 3 hours from here. And they're going to say, well, too bad. You can make this once, you can make it again. So now you're at $25 an hour. You're expected for one kid to spend $800 a month on child support, and you're only bringing in, as a net pay, at $15 an hour, you're only bringing in about $1,500. So over half your income, over half your net income that you're bringing in, is going straight to child support. Now you only have like $700 to live off a month, and so. If you're only getting the kids, like, let's say the weekends in that situation. So you're only getting the kids on the weekends. You're having to spend $700 a month in child support, or $800 a month in child support, and you're only have about $700 to live off of. How do you pay rent? Even in low rent areas, $700 is pretty much rent in most places for a two bedroom. So how are you going to pay utilities? How are you going to pay your car payment? How are you going to pay car insurance? How are you going to put gas in that car? How are you going to put food on the table? $700 a month. And so you get them on the weekends, and now you can't buy clothes. You can't buy good food. You're always worrying where the money's going to come from. So you only have them on the weekends, and guess what you have to do? You have to get a second job. But you already work like over 40 hours during the week, so what do you have to do? You have to get a job on the weekends. So you end up getting a job on the weekends, and you have to get a babysitter now to watch your kids during your time. And now your ex finds out that you have a second job. What does she do? She can take you right back to court and be like, hey, he's making more money now because he has a second job. That also needs to be accounted for child support. And that's exactly what they'll do. Okay, bring in your pay stubs for this new job that you have. How much are you making? Now your child support is even that much more. Now you're paying $900 a month. And your weekend job, you're only bringing in an extra $200, $300 a month. And so now you completely lost time with your kids. You have to even get a babysitter to watch them, or get a family member to watch them while you're working, or work nights, and you're always tired when you have them. You're always working. And now you even have to pay more child support because you got a second job just so you can put food on the table for when you do have the children. So you can see this how it's almost impossible for a guy who's middle class to be able to survive in that type of a situation. That's why a lot of men end up getting paid under the table, or trying to find side hustle deals so they can survive. It's not that because they're deadbeats, it's because they're dead broke. And they're trying to find side hustles so they can put food on the table for their kids they only see on the weekends. But they're also working on the weekends. They don't get to see their kids for a couple hours before they have to work third shift at a factory somewhere. It's unreal. It's like unreal what we do to fathers in this country when it comes to child support. It's unreal. And so, you're in that situation for a long time. All of a sudden, you're getting evicted, or your utilities are always going out, and now your baby mama finds out that, oh, hey, our son or daughter said that you guys didn't have any electricity all weekend. What's going on? Oh, I couldn't pay the electric bill. Times have been tough. Then all of a sudden, a week later, you'll get a summons in the mail saying that she is now trying to modify custody, saying that you're unable to take care of the kids and they're living in unsafe conditions. So you're paying all this child support. You can barely make ends meet. You're hiring a babysitter or getting a family member to watch them, and you're struggling to pay utilities. You're struggling to pay all these things, and then your ex takes you back to court to take away your weekends because sometimes you don't have electricity in their house, or because you're not actually seeing the kids. Your family members are because you're out working, trying to make money for the child support and food. So now you go to custody court again, and these are two separate courts normally. They don't care how much you're paying in child support. They only care about, quote, what's in the best interest of the child. So to them, the best interest of the child is to be in a house that has electricity. Well, if you're having trouble paying your electric bill or paying your bills and you're struggling to put food on the table, well, maybe it's best that they just go with mom. So now she gets more custody. You only have now every other weekend supervised visits for 2 hours. All right. And so now that she has more custody, what does she do? She goes back to the child support office, again, different court, and now says she wants more money because she has more custody. Now you're paying so much child support, there's no way for you to live. You either have to live with friends or family, and God forbid, if you don't have friends or family that you can stay with, you're living in your car. And when you start living in your car, there's no way you're going to be able to see the kids, your kids. You're not going to be able to be a father figure to your kids. You are basically written out of your kids' lives. All because you're paying so much child support that you are unable, not unwilling, unable to take care of yourself or your kids. And that is a lot of men's stories. And if you're adding a divorce to this, you could be adding alimony on top of this. You can be adding all your assets are gone. You might not even have the house that you were paying a mortgage to. There's a lot of stuff that can go into that. And so even if it doesn't get that bad, when men are paying this much in child support, they're going to have to usually find cheap places to live, which is usually not in the best part of the neighborhood, bad school districts. It's a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment, and there's not a lot of stuff to do there. It's not like you have great internet or gaming consoles because you can't afford those things. You had to sell them so you could buy food. All this stuff. And so, if the kids are older, they're 13, 14 years old, and, you really don't have a room for them because you're living in a 1-bedroom, they have to sleep on the couch, or, they're sleeping on a futon or something. They don't want to be at your house. Like, no 14-year-old wants to live that way. And, they'd rather live with mom because mom's, dating a guy who makes a lot of money now. She has a lot of money, and he has his own room there. He has a brand new Xbox or PlayStation. He has all the games. He has the VR headset there. Dad's, cockroaches are running around the place. So so the kids are looking at, like, my dad's a loser. And he's probably hearing that a lot from the ex-wife too, because once a woman divorces you, it's like you're the worst person in the world. All they can do is talk bad about you, and so it becomes a whole big thing. And so, like, even your kids don't even want to be around you. They might still they love you. They might love you, but they don't want to be at your house because, well, it's not fun to be at Dad's house. Dad's barely there. I have to sleep on the couch. There's no games. We don't really do anything because he's working. He's so tired. That kind of stuff. And so it really ends up ruining the relationship between you and the kid. And even kids, that are very young, they tend to know if they're spending a lot more time at, mommy's house than daddy's house, and they know they have a lot more toys at mommy's house, and daddy has all secondhand stuff and not a lot of fun stuff to do at daddy's house. They start to believe that there's a superior parent. And the only reason there's a, quote, superior parent, two reasons, is because the one parent is getting financial benefits from the divorce or separation, and the other, and getting more time with the kids. So even in a young kid's mind who's 5 years old, he or she is going to think, my mom's the superior parent. She's better. She has all the better things, all the better toys. I see her more. Well, I only see daddy, a couple days here or there for a couple hours, and he has nothing at his house. It's much more fun to be at mommy's house. So we can see how it doesn't matter how young the kids are or how old the kids are. When child support ends up, affecting a man's life that much, it can really be devastating. Now, of course, like if you're rich, you're going to be spending a lot of money on child support, but if you're that rich, you're going to be living a lower standard of living than that you were. But you're still going to, you'll be able to buy your own house, take care of yourself. You don't want to have to worry about bills. You just have a lower standard of living now. And most kids can overlook that. But when you don't have anything, when you don't have any toys or game consoles or fun things for them to do, that's stuff they don't overlook. That's just always going to be in their subconscious. And for poor dads, men who literally make nothing their whole life, well, because they make nothing their whole life, they're not paying a lot in child support. They've been doing side hustles their whole life, and they can pay it fine. They can pay them child support fine or not. And if they don't, they're in hiding. They're the ones not being affected as much. It's the middle class men that are being affected the most. And if you are poor and you're unable to make those payments, you will go to jail. Eventually you'll go to jail. 1 out of 8 inmates in South Carolina are in there for back child support. 1 out of 8 inmates in South Carolina jail is in there for back child support. So it's a huge problem where, if you don't have money, if you aren't able to live, it's not that you're a deadbeat, it's that you're dead broke. And the Census Bureau came out and found that over 90% of men who don't pay anything into child support isn't because they don't want to. It's because they aren't able to. They literally do not have the money to do it. So we do a lot of things for women. If you're a woman who cannot afford children, the government will give you food stamps or other, and the states will give you other types of state benefits, food benefits. Like for Pennsylvania, where I'm from, it's called WIC. They'll give you free medical coverage for you and the children. They will even give you free housing. In Pennsylvania, it's called Section 8 housing, where you're paying nothing or very reduced rent, and the government subsidizes the rest. You could be getting free daycare or subsidized daycare. And if you're really poor, they'll even give you cash assistance. Basically, what it sounds like, they're giving you cash every month that you can spend on whatever you want. That's what you get if you're a woman who can't afford their kids. If you're a man who can't afford their kids, they will suspend your license and then put you in jail. And that's the harsh reality that men have to live in today. And, you know, you talk to these some bitter women who, and who knows, they'll probably even be on the comments here. They'll talk about, like, just call us all deadbeats and that we should have just known that before we had sex. It doesn't matter. I'm like in that situation, and I was married for 8 years. I was married for 8 years, and exactly what this is basically my story, without coming right out and saying it. I was making good money, got laid off, and it doesn't matter what I'm making now. All they care about is what I was what the most I was making before. I was, living off very little a day. If it wasn't for my family, I'd be homeless. I'd be legit homeless at this point. And I want my kids. I've been in a 3-year custody battle trying to get as much custody as possible. It's not that I don't want to be with my kids. It's not that I don't want to pay child support, financially support my children. What I don't want is to just give money to a bitter woman who's going to use it against me and my children later on. And that's what's going to end up. That's what ends up happening to many men. That women use these financial means to break down men and get back at them for their failed relationship. All I ever wanted was 50-50 custody. And most men only want, they want 50-50 custody. And you can say that, men don't try in court. And that's just an absolute falsehood. The biggest thing, the biggest reason why men settle is what I said in the beginning of the video. They know their chances are slim. They know it's going to cost a lot of money to go down this road. That's why guys settle, because they're worried they're going to get it worse if they keep moving forward, and they run out of money, and they don't have a lawyer to fight for them. They're already 10 grand in the hole. And that's with the lawyer, and they're already 5 grand behind in child support because you just got the order approved, a month ago, and he's already 6 months behind. Because again, like I said, child support starts the day she files, not the day that the court hears your case. So, and this is all going on at the same time. That's why men settle. That's why. It's not because we're okay with every weekend or every other weekend or whatever crap custody agreement that we end up having to agree to. It's to stop the pain. And there are so many men that, because of this screwed up financial situation that they find themselves in, they unfortunately end up taking their lives. Like 20, 23 men a week. Fathers end up committing suicide, and it mostly has to do with child access issues and financial struggles after divorce. The suicide rate, the normal suicide rate between men and women is 4-1. It's 4 times higher for men, the suicide rate, than it is for women. When you only account for divorced men versus women, it's 10-1. It's men who are divorced are like the leading demographic of have the highest risk of suicide amongst men. That demographic, divorced men, have the highest suicide rate among all men. So, and we wonder why. Because our court systems are meant to favor the woman and really financially strain the father. There's a lot more stuff we could talk about child support. Its beginnings, it's how it came to be, Title 4D, all these other things. But this video is already almost a half an hour long, so we'll just keep it at that. This is how child support can ruin your life as a man and your life or your relationship with your children. And I hope you guys learned something. Please comment, share, and like. I know this isn't a great studio or anything like that. Like I said, I don't got any money. I can't get the fancy microphone or the fancy camera. This is off my cell phone. So, if you can support me in any way you can, if that's just liking and sharing, or subscribing to my channel, if you're here, please hit that subscribe button. Watch my other videos; they might be helpful to you. I'm also on TikTok at a_fathers_crisis_. So please follow me on TikTok if you're not already. I also have an Instagram and Twitter under the same handle. So thanks again for watching. Please comment and share and subscribe. Have a good one.